So this model is incredibly small, really easy to kind of see where I'm at, but not a bad habit to get into is I've unwrapped these. I'm just going to hit H and get rid of them. So it's kind of like a working checklist of what I need to still unwrap. And so I know these are good to go. I'm going to grab those, unwrap them, hide it. Okay, so now we are left with just this portion. And so what I'm going to do, so I'm going to show you just so one way of doing your unwrap is going in here, manually getting all of your seams marked, and then going from there and then just doing the unwrap. Another way is actually if you're in polygon mode, and so what I want to do is just pop the entire bottom off this. So if I just grab those, I go over here and I hit U, then it unwraps it, and then I can actually H hide it. So if I were to do an L now and grab this, when I hit the unwrap here, it's going to ignore all of the hidden stuff. Now, the downside of doing this, so let's just actually go the next step here and just kind of cut this thing apart. So all I need to do here is just make sure this box, its edges are cut. And let's mark those seams. So if I go L and then U, oops, wrong window, U. Okay, so that's beautiful. So the downside with doing the polygon mode like that, it's not much of a downside, but so if I go Alt H, I bring this stuff back. Notice that these are two different islands. UV islands is what they're referred to. This one and this one. But even though they're separate, they actually don't have an edge in here. So for one, if I were to go L in polygon mode, it's going to grab the whole thing, and worse than that, if I go U, it's going to try to unwrap it without that information. So just realizing it does that is all you need to know, because what we can do is Blender's got a handy feature where you can go in here and say UV, give me seams from the islands that exist right now. And so what it does is it goes in and realizes, okay, this whole bottom piece has been pulled off, therefore there's a seam here. And then I noticed too, it also fired one up here and here, which is from where the original information was. Okay, so there's that. So there's two different main ways of kind of going in here and getting this stuff done. I'm going to clean this back up. It's just going in with my L, grabbing all the stuff that's done, and hiding that. And also, let's see what we got here. I don't actually want those. So, quick way. So I'm going into edge mode, grab everything, right click, and just clear those seams. So for this one here, so remember everything goes back to the old box analogy. So we just want to cut this thing so it's going to fly open. I'm thinking one here. And then I want to grab these pieces. And I can probably get away with not cutting it there, but whatever. So what's going to happen here is going to cut here. These tabs are going to fly open, and the whole thing can flatten out. And then just doing the same thing here. So another handy shortcut, holding down shift to make sure it's going to add to, yep, shift, alt, yeah, that's not what I wanted at all. There we go. I need my fingers to remember it. So another handy way to do this thing, so with your control, what it does, if I hold down control, it's going to be looking at the active selection. You can only have one active selection at a time. The rest of them are all in orange. I hold down my control and I click here. What it does is it goes from the active and draws a line to where you click. So for instance here, I'm going to do this first one, give myself an active, and then I hold down control and it draws the line all the way into here. For this model, it's so simple, it's not much of a shortcut. Well, once you start getting into organics and character models and you're looking to find where the inside of the wrist meets the armpit, then yeah, that's a pretty handy feature. And okay, so I got that. We're gonna mark that seam. And then I'm going to poly mode. Well, I don't really have to poly mode, there's the only thing left. Hit U to unwrap it. Okay, so now we've got everything pulled apart. So I'm hitting Alt H, bring it all back in. So now we need to pack this thing in. Now what you can do is go in here and go, so there's two things here, average island scale and pack islands. So your average island scale, and we can kind of see some of it going on. Notice how these letters are pretty, you know, that's not huge, but they are bigger than these ones. If I go in, grab them all, and I do an average, what it does is it takes all of these islands and makes sure that they line up as far as size goes. And yeah, I'm going to be doing another video to kind of show the importance of your resolution and all that sort of thing. But the one clear example, pretend I drop a real nice wood grain on this, and if these don't line up, what I'll have is, you know, a nice size grain here. All of a sudden it might become really huge here. Up in this one, it might be super fine, and it would just, yeah, it would just look odd. It would take away from the illusion that this thing is actually made of the same kind of wood, which would kind of happen. Okay, so with that, we can do, we've got them all averaged, and then we just tell it to pack, and then it does its best guess at how this can all pack together. And by default, the more boxy something is and the lower number of islands, the kind of the worse job that the Blender is going to do by default. There's also some plugins out there that actually make it a lot easier, but not going with that right now. So let's take a look at some things that we can do. So one thing that does screw this up pretty good is UV islands with long portions sticking out of them. Sometimes you can't get away from it. Other times, in this particular case, it can be pretty easy to just live with the fact that we could do another cut here and here. Call those seams. And also too, when I went in and got rid of all the seams on the back, the bogus ones that I didn't want, it also went ahead and cleared these ones. So I also want to grab everything again and go in and do the seams from islands. So that'll put those back. So what that does, I didn't mark those, mark seam. There we go.